and it starts all over again. First thing to note, if you're working on the clutch of an SM and you don't want to lose any oil, lay it on its side. So let's bring you up to speed. Yesterday I changed the clutch plates over and did a video on it. I had some audio issues while doing that, which would have been a problem, but I now have to take it back out anyway, so I've got some proper audio going on now, and yeah. Basically, it would appear that the plates they've sent me are too fat, because with the whole stack in, there's no adjustment left on the cable. And I thought, well, okay, we'll just, and you can do this, I'll take out a friction plate and a steel, and then that seemed to fit a lot better in here, but then it was just too short on that end. And the only thing that seems to be the case, and EBC seem to be known for it, is the clutch plates being too fat. So I'm actually going to double check one thing, which is to do with a friction washer at the back. So I've noticed one of these plates might be thinner than the others, and if that's right, that might be the problem. But the long and the short of it is I'm taking the thing apart again. Disconnect the rear brake, because you have to be able to push this rear brake lever. The audio was so bad on the first time of me taking the old one out and putting the new one in, that I'm not going to bother with it. So I'm going to mention a few things I mentioned in that video, in this video. Because I'm taking one out and putting one in anyway, so, you know, it's the same difference. One thing is making sure that you get the right length bolts in the right holes again, and the way that I do that is I just write numbers on them. Because you don't want to take a long bolt and put it into a short bolt hole and tighten it right up, because you can poke the bolt straight through the inside of the engine casing. As you can see, big differences. In this there's actually only two sizes, and it's easy to tell if it's a long one because it will slide right down. But still worth doing. Come on. These are magnesium engine casings. They are so light, it's amazing. Anyway, next is I've got to loosen those off. Just going to crack these off, and then I've got a quicker way of getting these out. See, much faster. This comes off, and then we've got the friction plates themselves. One thing to note, there is a hole here and a hole here. They are there for a reason, to help you get your fingers in. A clutch stack is basically made up of lots of layers of friction plates and steels, like that. Always it goes steel, friction plate, all the way through, ending in, well, on this one anyway, the inside surfaces take the friction plates on both. Now down in here, there's these two washers. These are friction springs, or I think they're also known as judder springs. And one of them's bent, it's like curved, and it's got to go upwards. Anyway, they don't fit inside here. No, they don't. And on the old plates, there's this one ring that's missing that inner edge. Notice? And I bet you that is so that can fit inside. It is! So, I need to now double check that there isn't one like that in the new kit. If there is, that may be the problem. If there isn't, then the old one's going back in. Thick, 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 thin. You absolute melon. It may have been me the whole time that caused all of this grief just because I didn't notice that one thing. I hope that's the case, because that would be brilliant. But the only way I'm going to know is by rebuilding it, put it all back together. Friction, and a steel, and a friction, then a steel, then let's have another friction. Can I have a steel please, Carol? And a friction. And another steel please, Carol, and another friction. Another friction, no actually make that another steel. This is a countdown joke that's going on too long. Anyway, yep, so friction, steel, friction, steel, and the last friction doesn't go in that groove, it goes offset by one, it seems. That does fit quite a lot better. Oh god, it was that all along, wasn't it? I'm such an idiot. Now when I tried to put it on before, these wouldn't quite reach the and they've now reach. Right, okay. I think we solved it. I think it's now right. As you can see, doing stuff to the clutch on this bike is actually a piece of piss. You don't have to lose any oil. So you can. I did an oil change yesterday when I put the new clutch in, but that's the problem. You see, I worked on it, stood up yesterday because I had no oil in it. But after I did the clutch and refilled it with all the oil, I couldn't take the engine casing off when it was stood up. So that's why I'm putting it on its side. But here's a way to be able to play with your clutch without touching everything else. Get these started. I've not gone like this bang because I don't want to tighten them up at all using that. I want to tighten them up using the torque wrench. This is a torque wrench. You adjust this here by spinning the handle, and you've got a scale so you can put the amount of foot-pounds or newton meters, whatever you do, on, and then when it gets to a certain point it will click at the head like so. After you've tightened them all, go back over, because as one tightens it could loosen another. Cover goes back on. On this engine, a long hole has a long way to go, the short one doesn't. But on some, it can be such a small difference you can't actually tell out from the outside, shall we say. Like with anything that's got bolts in all directions, tighten them equally, because if you tighten one really hard or two really hard and then you try and tighten this one, it might be slightly off-centered, only very slightly, and it can put pressure on that one and you can end up having things crack and break. So that's why it's best to do it in sort of a star shape. So now I need to torque these up, but check this out for retarded. Okay, so we've got 1/4 inch going to 1/2 inch to a 1/2 inch arm to a 1/2 inch to 1/4 inch to an 8-wheel socket. I know there's something beautifully retarded in that, but it works. Now I'm not a trained mechanic like Jake.
I went to school.
Bit of brake cleaner takes the numbers off. I don't suggest using this on your paintwork necessarily. So I'm now going to stand the bike up and see if I can adjust the clutch correctly. I hope this fixes it. If it doesn't, I have to take that off again, take all those screws out again, put the old plates back in, put it all back together to order a new clutch to do it all over again. I just hope this... I screwed my back up yesterday, so this whole picking the bike up, putting it down thing is not helping either. See, the thickness of the stack of the clutch will affect how long this piece is. Before, it was too long or too short, so I'm just hoping that now it's going to be close. If this still doesn't fit, I will find my stock lever to make sure that that's not the issue, because levers can be a pain. Open this adjuster a bit. This is looking better. So it looks like the knob wasn't adjusted correctly. This knob, it looks like that difference on that blast plate, see that little edge, made all the difference. That was lack of attention to detail, and admittedly it was the first time I'd actually changed a clutch. I've taken them apart, never changed one. But I understand how they work, I've done plenty of research into it. But I just didn't notice that last thing. But then I don't think they all have those friction washers. So, lesson learned, friction plates are not all the same, one of them might be different. I suppose it's possible that more than one of them might be different if you have a different bike and it's different. I don't know, things are different. I'm not different, I'm still an idiot. That's so much better. It's a lot firmer because the springs, I got new springs, new plates, new steels, everything in the kit, and the springs themselves are so much firmer. I think EBC say they're 10% stiffer than stock, but that's 10% of brand new over my 26,000 mile old ones. It's, yeah. That's so much better. I lubed the cable yesterday as well. You get this little tooly thing that you put on the end and you squirt, 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 and... In the next video you'll find out why the bike's doing this. Yeah, it's not anything to do with the clutch. Americans don't like British vloggers and they're not enjoying them and that's why they don't watch? Or is it because they're not being shown by